to David and Carmen VSG. We've missed you guys. We hope to have an update for you soon, but you know, we're 6-7 months out now, somewhere in between there, and things just aren't seeming to be moving as fast as they were in the beginning, and with everything going on, we really aren't keeping track very well. So because of that, we have decided that, you know, we've got to get back to basics, start following the rules, putting protein first at every meal, stop eating so many carbs, you know, all that stuff. Water, 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 water. One of my favorite people to watch on here, Lauren Losing, said the other day that they say protein should be your first priority, but hydration should be your first priority. And I'm sure she didn't say that the other day. It was one of her older videos, I think, but she is absolutely right on that. I agree 100% with her. But as a way to get started back on track, tonight for dinner, I am making chili. And I'm making, where did I get this from? I think this came out of Rachel Ray's magazine, and it's a Chipotle orange chicken chili. And it's made with boneless, skinless chicken thighs, which for David and I, we don't eat chicken breast anymore because it's too dense, too dry. So we're gonna go with the chicken breast. We're gonna go with the chicken thighs, and that's what this recipe calls for. And it also has butternut squash in it. I want you guys to look at these little, I found two of them. Two itty bitty, tiny little butternut squash. Are these not the cutest little squash ever? So anyway, I'm gonna be using those. And then it also has some heat in it with some chipotles and adobo. It's got fiber and protein in it from the beans, as well as protein from the chicken. It's got a little kick with shallot, which I've already started cutting because I started cooking and I was like, oh, I can make a video. So anyway, some garlic, and then for just a little odd flavor, a little bit of orange, which makes it the Chipotle orange chicken. So I'm gonna change my camera around and we will be right back with you. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is add, right over here, I am preheating my pan. Well, I was, and then I started filming, so I turned it down, and it's actually still very hot. The oil is starting to smoke and turn brown, so I'm gonna leave that off while I chop some veggies. But we're gonna add 1 shallot to the pan and 2 cloves of garlic. This a stir so it doesn't start to burn here. Oh my gosh, y'all, this smells absolutely freaking delicious with just the shallots in it so far. Alright, so let me get 2 cloves of garlic here. I like to use the big cloves. So in our last video, we talked about that we were looking for jobs. Well, David has found a job before me. Oh, let me give this a stir. I don't want my garlic to burn. So while I'm doing this, I'll just give you an update on our lives. So David has found a job, and he's supposed to go fill out his paperwork and kind of get started tomorrow, but he just found out that because it was through the unemployment office that he got the job, they kind of went in the wrong order, and he was supposed to have started this training program thing with him at the unemployment office, and we had plans to go to a theme park tomorrow, but now instead he has to go to the unemployment office. And I'm going to take that off the heat. That's really hot pan there. I'm following a recipe for this because I've never made it. And now I need to add my chicken. So I'm going to use a different knife and a different cutting board here to cut up my chicken, which I forgot to take out of the freezer, and I just popped it up in the microwave. So we're gonna start adding, I'm just gonna kind of chop and drop this as well, and it'll probably take a little bit longer to cook because of my lack of planning, but that is all right because I need to cool that pan down right there anyway. Salt and pepper my chicken now so that we're seasoning that. I don't need quite that much pepper. I always just use loose pepper, and I use kosher salt, and I don't know, there's probably a couple of teaspoons there. I think I use a little more. If you're watching your salt intake, use less, you know, whatever. I'm not a big person on following an exact recipe. So now, let's see here, I'll pick up my tripod and I will try to show you what I got going on down here. So we're just going to let all of that chicken and the shallots and everything cook up, and I will chop the rest of my ingredients. So I'm going to need 3 chipotle peppers in adobo, and they did not have a smaller can of this at the store when I went. I used to buy really small cans, but they did not have one. So I am going to pull out 3 peppers. 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to set this aside because I'm going to use a little bit of sauce from in there as well. And I'm not going to chop those quite yet. Now I'm going to go ahead and chop up my my butternut squash here. And look, these are so little. I love it. So I just trimmed the ends off. And then we'll take a vegetable peeler to kind of peel the skin off of the outside. Now, to get the seeds out, I'm going to use a little grapefruit spoon that has like the little serrated edge on it there. If it'll focus on that. So you can kind of see how that edge does. There we go. So we're just going to scoop this out, and I'll throw it right over in my garbage can. Now this recipe calls for a pound of butternut squash. And you know, if butternut squash is not in season for you, you could certainly use frozen butternut squash, I imagine. It does, like I said, it calls for a pound. I don't think I'm going to have quite a pound of squash here with these 2 little squashes. But I'm going to cut this up, and I'm just going to cut it into pretty big chunks. About like that size, and I'm gonna go ahead and cut my camera off because my battery's almost dead, and I'll come back to show you my next steps in just a minute. So the next item we need, these are all of our butternut squash here that I just chopped up. So now I need to zest an orange, and I just use my little grater here, and I just kind of go right along it and just grate the zest off. Now it says the peel or the zest of half an orange and the juice from half an orange. So I'm not going to zest this whole thing. That might really overpower the flavor. So I am just gonna, and you don't want to go all the way down to where you see white when you're zesting an orange or any citrus fruit, because that part is bitter, and you really do, I guess I am zesting the whole orange. You really do just want that outside zest. I was making smoothies for a while. Funny story. And I thought, oh, orange zest. I was putting a little bit of orange juice in. This was back in the day before my weight loss surgery. So I'm going to add that directly to our chicken. That's pretty brown there. And then I have some tomato paste. And I'm just going to poke that. And I'm going to put 2 squeezes that are about 2 tablespoons in. So there's 1 squeeze. Oh, that looks gross. That's 1 squeeze, and that's 2 squeezes. And I like these little tubes here because then I can just put the lid on it and pop it back in the fridge, and I'm not wasting like the whole can of tomato paste for 2 tablespoons. So let me give this a stir. Put the orange and the tomato paste in there. And now I'm going to add the adobo, chipotle and adobo sauce. And I am going to kind of dice these pretty fine. They're pretty spicy. I'm going to have to wash my hands afterwards. Oh, but back to the story about the orange. So I decided, oh, if I want more orange flavor, I should just go ahead and zest the orange into the smoothie. Oh my gosh, y'all, that was the worst idea ever, because I did get some of the pith, some of the white part into the sauce. I just dropped those chipotle peppers right down in here. I'm going to grab another spoon out of the drawer here and just take some of the adobo sauce. I'm just going to put a couple spoonfuls in there. Now, the rest of these peppers, oh, I think I just threw a whole pepper in there. Oh well. So the rest of these I'm going to put into plastic bags, and I'm going to wash my hands real quick. Okay, so I have that off my hands now. But I decided to put the pith of the orange or the zest in. It made them so bitter. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just literally juicing this orange right down into the pot. I'm just squeezing the crap out of it. So if you ever decide that you're going to make smoothies with fresh orange juice, I do not recommend using, and because we're not, I'm just going to do this half too because I've already got the chipotle pepper all over it. And I really didn't get a lot of juice out of that other half over there. So anyway, so I'm just going to stir this. Oh my gosh, if I could get this story finished about the oranges. Yeah, we just, I'm going to pull this whole pepper out that I dumped down in there. Nobody wants to bite into that. Yeah, if you're making smoothies, I don't suggest the orange zest because it will make it very, very bitter. So I don't know if you can see because of the steam, but we've got quite a nice little concoction going here. I wish you could smell it because it smells absolutely divine. So our next step is to add in our butternut squash. So I'm doing that. Just going to dump that straight in. Go ahead and let that, I'm going to stir that in. We're going to let that start working. And we have 2 more ingredients that we're going to put in. A can of pinto beans that I'm going to drain and rinse, and 3 cups of water. Alright, so here's our pintos all drained, and I'm just going to dump those right in. And we'll stir this again. Sorry about the weird angle there. And then I'm going to get my 3 cups of water, and we are just going to let this simmer away. This is what I use as a 3-cup measuring. It's an old jar that pickles came in. I think the Vlasic bread and butter garden variety pickles came in this, and it's a 3-cup jar, and so I just use this as a 3-cup measuring tool. It's probably not exact, but it's close enough. So let me show you what we got going on down in the pot here. So as you can see, it's pretty soupy. It will cook down. And then I'll mash some of the beans up as well to kind of give it some consistency. But for now, we're just gonna let this simmer until the squash is soft. All right, so here we are with the finished product. The only thing that I've done differently, let me adjust my camera here. Ooh, that's not a good angle, but anyway. So the only thing that I did differently after the stew was all done was that I garnished it with a scallion on each bowl. And the feedback I've gotten from you guys with my food videos is that you want to see me taste it. So right here on my little spoon, I've got a bite of chicken, scallion, some beans, and some squash all in one bite here. So I really don't like that angle that you're looking at me at, but it is really good. It's spicy though, so if you don't like spicy, I might only do like one of the peppers because that's really freaking spicy. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this video and that you make yourself some Chipotle orange chicken chili. It has, hold on one second and I'll tell you exactly how many, the protein stats and stuff on it real quick. So 1 serving, so this whole pot that I made 4 servings. You know, for me and David, that's probably going to be more like 6 to 8 servings, but 1/4 of this recipe has 426 calories, 12.3 grams of fat, 37.9 grams of carbs, and that's probably from the beans and the squash. So they're good carbs. But it has 41.9 grams of protein in it, and you really can't beat that. So it also has a good bit of vitamin A, vitamin C, calcium, and iron in it. About 550 milligrams of sodium, lots of potassium. Overall, it's a good food. I think it's perfectly fine. I'm not worried about that number of carbs, especially with that amount of protein in it. Holy cow. So I'm gonna finish up this bowl and we'll see you guys later. Bye, YouTube.